A wonderful morning to you. Doing very well. Glad to be here, and being hosted by you is a pleasure. Thank you so much. And here to answer questions for the community, and also, as we always do, start with providing an update. We've had the State of Union address last night from President Trump, and of course, immigration was a part of it. And I know all our wonderful immigrants-filled communities have been in touch with what's going on, and we want to just give you this update. What's on the chopping block for right now, per the President's plan, is family migration or immigration, and that would also involve parents, adult children, siblings. I know siblings weren't very... they've been part of, the removal from the family section for a while for all the past efforts to reform immigration system, but parents never have been there. So we're kind of concerned with that even thought process, but let's see what happens with it. We hope that the parents will not go away, but if you were planning on doing this over the next few months, maybe 6 months to a year, then it may not be a bad idea to go ahead and file for the family. Don't do it under pressure because you have to, because nothing may come of it. But on the other hand, we've had a different positioning by the two parties, and we've seen the Democrats back off on quite a few of their asks. So we don't know if the parents and their processing will in that negotiation get sacrificed. So that's just to give everyone a heads up, and I can start taking calls now.
All right, great. Thanks for that update here, and a pleasure to host the show with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the number in the studio is 972-235-5555. Go ahead. You have a question for Pallavi? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Radhika Chiti. My question is regarding my nephew, who is 8 years old. He is my brother's son. We lost our sister-in-law recently, so I am planning to get him on visiting visa for this summer. April and May is his holiday time. So how should we apply for his visa? I am on green card.
All right. So your brother and your nephew going together for visa processing would be better advised. Just for a small child, they may have the concern that the child may not come back, and that would remain a concern even with the consular officers, especially in today's times. We're just noting a harder stance and a tougher review. So at this point, I would say that have your brother as well as your nephew go in for visitor visa stamping, and hopefully that may work better.
Okay. Do they need to take any documentation about my sister-in-law's loss?
Well, I would not say that would be relevant. I think there are 3 prongs that a visitor visa is based on, and that would be family ties abroad, number 1, the reason for the visit, and it would be for your brother, financial strength abroad. So, and that's the analysis that he will have to go through when he applies for his visa. So at this point, I would not be able to say yes, you could send out a letter to your brother, and that could be an email, something a little bit more credible, that says that because he's going to be by himself over the summer, I would like for him to come and take him out, and which would be normal, as that's probably your effort, whether you want to take him out just visiting, and that you would like to. And maybe your brother should put that in, and you can say that after the passing of his mom, I think this would be a good change. And then you may just have an officer just consider that. So that would be the only way that I can say you can bring it in without overstating it.
Okay, so he should be accompanied by my brother, right? Not my parents already have a visiting visa, so not the grandparents. With his dad, he should be going.
Yes, I mean, again, my concern is only the analysis, whether he would come here and not go back.
Okay.
And that's a concern of all the officers right now.
Okay, and the rest of the documents are same as the B2 visa, other than my email.
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that call, and we move on to our next caller here. Go ahead, you're live on the air. Fun Asia Radio. Good morning. Your question for Pallavi, please.
Yeah. we are in age 4, and my daughter is 17-year-old. So our labor has been cleared. So I was wondering, like, when she gets, does she go out of our system when she turns 21?
Yes. So she has to have her own visa options after she ages out. So aging out happens at 21, and then after that she has to have her own way of being here.
Okay, so what are the options for that?
So, I mean, there are no options. It's based on what her requirements are. If she's going to be in college or going to college, then it could be an F1. If she's working, and of course it's hard to imagine a 21-year-old with a bachelor's degree, then H1 is an option, but that would be a little bit later after the degree is complete.
Okay. Thank you.
All the best.
Furniture Radio, good morning.
हाँ जी नमस्ते
नमस्ते
मेरे फादर इन लॉ लास्ट वीक आए हैं इंडिया से विजिटर्स वीसा पे इमिग्रेशन ऑफिसर ने कुछ क्वेश्चंस उनको पूछे ही आंसर्ड इट वेरी वेल पर एक क्वेश्चन में वो कंफ्यूज हो गए उनको समझ में नहीं आ रहा था और उन्होंने पूछा कि आप कितने महीना रुकेंगे 3 या 6 तो उन्होंने 3 आंसर दिया जबकि रिटर्न टिकट 6 महीने का है तो बाहर व्हील चेयर असिस्टेंट ने आके मुझे बताया कि उसने ऐसा बोला इमिग्रेशन ऑफिसर ने कि अगर आप 3 महीने से ज्यादा नहीं रुक सकते और 3 महीने से ज्यादा अगर आप रुकते हैं तो आपका वीसा इनवैलिड हो जाएगा So I'm a little bit confused. What is the scenario over there?
Okay, so you have to pull up his I-94. So you'll go
मैंने
to
I-94 पे check, मैंने I-94 पे check किया तो 6 months बाद की ही डेट दिखा रहा है.
Yeah, so his length of stay is based on the I-94 that he's been given. The officer did have a choice to give him just 3 months, as your father stated, and there should not be any issue. But I'm not sure how an officer can even say that. And this is something that we had a few people report even here in Dallas, that we're having CBP just really act out here and just make some random comments and call people illegal even when they're legal. So we're just seeing some concerning behavior, and I think this needs to be a matter of a report. The CBP officer for sure does have an option to give him just 90 days based on the conversation. But if he hasn't given him 90 days but 180 days of entry, then there is no business in telling them that they have to leave in 90 days. They have an option to stay the length of the 180 days.
मुझे कैसे समझ में आएगा क्योंकि पासपोर्ट पे स्टैंपिंग 6 महीने के बाद का है और I-94 पे 6 महीने के बाद का दिखा रहा है तो मैं अभी क्या करूं रिटर्न टिकट उनका प्रीपोन करूं या वही रहने दूं
I mean what जो मुझे आपसे समझ नहीं आ रहा है कि उनको किस कॉन्वर्सेशन में कहा है आफ्टर ही पास थ्रू सीबीपी और उन्होंने जब दे दिया उसके बाद किसी ऑफिसर ने तंग किया या उस टाइम पे जब प्रोसेस कर रहे थे तब तंग किया
सेम ऑफिसर ने स्टैंपिंग करके दे दिया बाद में पता नहीं उसको क्या लगा और उसने फिर से सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स मांगे और फिर उसने बोला ऐसा जबकि स्टैंपिंग हो चुका था
तो जो उनके पास कोई नोट्स रहते हैं अपने नोट्स रहते हैं उनके पास तो उसमें भी कुछ नोट कर सकते हैं पर उनकी ऑप्शन लीगली जो मैं आपको बता सकती हूँ वो है जो मुझे दिख रहा है और वो है जो आप I-94 के बारे में बता रहे हैं राइट तो अगर I-94 पे आप बता रहे हैं कि 180 डेज है तो दैट इज द लीगल स्टे
तो मैं मतलब अभी रिटर्न टिकट को चेंज नहीं करूं मैं वही रहने दूं
Yeah, I mean that's the first level advice that I can provide to you. एक आप जरूर इंक्वायरी करें सीबीपी के पास जाके आप एक इंक्वायरी कर सकते हैं और उनको बता सकते हैं ये पूरी कॉन्वर्सेशन और ये भी बता सकते हैं कि ऑफिसर ने क्या कहा है एंड कि आप लोग कंसर्न हैं कि ऐसी की बात हुई है वहां से क्लैरिफिकेशन ले बिफोर यू मेक अ डिसीजन
So what is CBP मुझे नहीं पता इसके बारे में
कस्टम बॉर्डर प्रोटेक्शन इट्स एट द एयरपोर्ट
So I have to go to airport और मैं फोन से भी उनसे बात कर सकती हूँ
करेक्ट सो आपने I-94 कहाँ पे निकाला है बिकॉज वो तो ऑनलाइन सीबीपी के ही वेबसाइट पे आता है
हाँ वही ऑनलाइन मैंने I-94 चेक करके मैंने उसकी प्रिंट ले ली है उसपे वही डेट दिखा रहा है
तो आप एक कॉन्वर्सेशन करें वहाँ पे जाके एक अपॉइंटमेंट ले सकते हैं आप सीबीपी से और वहाँ जाके बात कर सकते हैं
ओके जी थैंक यू सो मच
ऑल द बेस्ट
Furniture Radio, good morning. Your question for Pallavi, please.
Hi. I just wanted to check regarding H4 EAD, especially given in light of yesterday's State of the Union?
Yes, so there is nothing that was proposed or discussed that dealt with H4 EADs. Did not hear that at all.
So,
That's
should I assume that they are still good? Because I know...
No, so this wasn't... Yeah, all right. So what was happening with the H4 EAD was that was not even part of the immigration reform, or there've been some, there's some legislation that's been proposed that includes it. But what was going on with the H4 EAD was a lawsuit that was against the H4 EAD, and the government was kind of not defending it anymore. The lawsuit was against the government. So we were still waiting to see what happens with that. That is still continuing. But if it is part of the president's proposal, don't know about it yet. That's not the detail that we know. But yes, H4 being allowed to work is part of many proposals that are out there right now.
I could still file for a EAD for my...
Yes, there is nothing. So there is the Immigration Innovation Act of 2018. I think that allows it too. So there are several bills that are out there that may defend the H4 EAD, and the absence of any decision from a judge that is overseeing that litigation. I think you can assume that it's still on.
I don't know if he hung up or...
All right.
All right, I think we'll move on. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned to the Legal Hour by the Ahluwalia Law Offices, and Pallavi Ahluwalia is answering all your questions right here, right now. The number again in the studio is 972-235-5555. Go ahead, you're live on the air. Your question for Pallavi, please.
Hi, my question is regarding the speech of President Trump yesterday about the merit-based green card. So how is it gonna...
Well, these are proposals for now, sir. The details of these will be hashed. It's a very, very large, broad, stroked proposal that he has, that they want to attract the best and the brightest, but remove the family immigration, maybe give legal status to the 1.8 million dreamers here. So these are just broad strokes. The details will be worked out. But it's not even something that's legislative currently. That's just the White House's outline. So they're trying to see if they can get bipartisan support for it so that this could be part of legislation, but it's not currently.
Okay. Thank you.
All the best.
Fun Asia Radio, your question, please. Go ahead and put the radio off first and ask your question.
Yeah, I have a question. I am on green card, and I got my green card 10 years ago, and I haven't applied for my citizenship. But recently I got a DWI about 2 years ago, and I'm going to finish my probation in another 1 week. So is it good to go to India, or is it good? I mean, can I go to India and come back?
Yeah, I mean, you would be able to return going back. We know that CBP, especially here in the Dallas area, is just applying rules very, very harshly.
Yes.
So I can't just tell you not to go. If you can be careful, however, and you don't have to go, then I'm advising everyone caution and just hanging on here for another few years before you take travels. If you have anything in the record that can cause concern, you will be pulled aside. You will be put through a little bit of a secondary review. I can anticipate that, but the harshness of that review, I don't know what's going on with that.
Oh, okay. Even after I finish my probation and everything is clear.
Correct. And then do not advise for you to file for your naturalization for the next, after you finished with everything and the charges were brought up at least 5 years forward. Go past the 5 years and then even think about naturalization. Definitely not in this administration for now.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. I really appreciate your help.
Thank you for all your calls. I know when you'll ask these questions, it actually helps a whole lot of other people who are listening to our show this morning. Go ahead, you're live on the air. Your question for Pallavi, please.
Hi. So my parents, they have 10 years of U.S. visitors visa stamped on their current passport. And the passport is expiring end of this year. They are applying for a name change on the passport based on Aadhaar card. Now, in this case, do they need to go back and get the visa stamp, or what documents do they carry in case?
I would definitely go back and visit the U.S. consulate and just have that endorsed somehow, because the last place they want to be bothered is when they're trying to come into the country. And that's where CBP says that they don't have sufficient documentation. Otherwise, the line of the papers, which say that they're the same people, just that there has been a change. Is it a major change in the name, or is it just some additions to the name? What's going on?
It's basically change in the surname, but at this point, the passport, the given name has basically both the surname and surname is empty. So the first name is not changing anyway.
All right. Okay, yes, I would still try and seek a visit and just make sure that they can travel now with new passports also, and just applying the logical rule here. With new passports but an old visa, you're still allowed to come into the country. So there should not be an issue if there was just a new passport. I would say just the change in name would be something that if the consulate advises another background check, if the name changes for any other reason, those are the concerns for the extreme vetting prong that is being applied right now.
So basically, they have to go through the same visa stamping process again, background check, and then if they want, then they have to take go for an interview at consulate.
Correct. I would advise that to keep it equal, to keep it similar.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you very much. You're live on the air. Vanisha Radio, good morning.
Hi, Pallavi. Good morning. So my question is on the H1. I want to know if I change the employer and go to a new employer and apply for a new LCA, am I running a risk of it being rejected in that process?
So you're talking about moving employment from one employer to another, correct?
Right.
But it is based on bona fide work and work that's specialty occupation.
Right.
Yes. So if it's real and you're moving to the next employer, there is not an issue to transfer. So and I see the concern because a lot of people are getting denials when they're either extending or transferring, because the government this past fall changed the requirements of proving your case all over again. So the standards that are being applied right now, number one, is to the level of wages. Number two is to the specialty occupation prong that has to be built up initially and has to be argued very, very well. That's the strength. That's also the gray area by which they are issuing denials. So you have to be careful about that. But I can't tell you that you should not move if you have a bona fide offer for another employer.
Okay. So another question, when it's for renewal, what is that we should know? I mean, when the visa is expiring, it gets stamped for a certain period. So when it's for renewal, what's that we need to take care? Because I know somebody who had a rejection in renewal, H1 renewal. So
so when you're renewing it, there is earlier there was a little credibility that was given to the fact that it had been approved once. So the government, once that had made that decision, had made a credible decision. Now, with the change in the policy, the current expectation is that you have to prove the case from A to Z, and they will challenge the existence of everything from degrees to qualifications to the eligibility of the employer. So this is happening across the board, and this is because of the change in the policy of the government to question everything.
So if I'm qualified enough and if I'm, qualifying to all the rules that they have, you think I should be relaxed? Because this is everyday stress in life. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I don't have
we hear
take so
people
much
going
stress
through
in life just to be here.
Correct, I understand and empathize. The point that I can just tell you at this point is it's not just you or your qualifications that matter. It also, what matters is the kind of work you're doing and whether that qualifies for specialty occupation or not. That's important.
Right, I get that. Okay. All
just the offer that you have.
Sure. Thank you very much.
All the best.
Your help. Bye.
All right, I'm going to try and see if I can squeeze in one more quick caller, but it'll have to be very, very quick. Let's see. You're live on the air. Vanisha Radio. Good morning. You have a quick question for Pallavi?
Right. Hey, Pallavi, my question is on H-1B extension. So my H-1B is expiring in June, and my SOW is also expiring the same time. So my question is, if we file extension using the same SOW and for some reason if it gets denied because the SOW is ending with the current H1 limit, so what would be the option? Would I be able to file another extension with new SOW if we get SOW extension by that time, or
Yes.
is there any other option?
So if the government is going to give you an H-1B that is just the length of your project, then and not give it for the 3 years that you're eligible for, just by law, then you have to go back, prior to the expiration of that H-1B and file it based on the extended thing. But they won't be. A lot of times when clients have statements of work or end client letters that just go to a certain date, the government is cutting off the H-1B at that point. So yes, you do have an option to extend based on the extended SOW if you want.
So after denial, we can place another H-1B extension request?
So there is one analysis that needs to be done. If you have an underlying I-94 that is still current and you have a denial, then you have the 60-day option to be able to do any change, whether it's with the same employer, another employer, within the country for 60 days, within 60 days. If that's not your option and you don't have an I-94 that was current or still underlies, then you have to do a counselor notification H-1B. And that's how it has to be done. You'll have to step out and re-enter the country.
Sir, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to have to interrupt you. We're running out of time here. So if you'll stay on hold, and I'll give you Pallavi's direct number also. So please stay on hold. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our legal show for today. Pallavi, I really appreciate you being here and helping all our community with all their questions. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure being here. I look forward to it every Wednesday, and I'm so glad that you hosted me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure hosting you also. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our legal show for today.